Let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with the fans forum. I've got my man Rick backstage to join, and as it is the fans forum, I've been putting the link out to various people, and Rick has been in touch with me wanting to get on to discuss his thoughts on Aston Villa. We'll also potentially have Brad from AVFC The Religion. Kev might be joining us as well, and one or two others. And as I've said before, the fans forum is your show. You just need to get in touch. We'll send you the link and you can come on and have your say on anything Aston Villa on and off the pitch. We'll obviously get into the comments as well because there's plenty of stuff to talk about. Monchi out, Olabe in, if that's, I'm trying to remember his name. And we've got a crunch few games to come. And we've got the small matter of the Europa League to come as well for Aston Villa. So much to talk about. Potential turmoil at the club, or are we losing our heads? Is it going to all go wrong for Unai Emery, or is this the decision that keeps him at the club in the long term? Or are results going to dictate how we feel about Unai Emery at the club at the minute? There is so much to talk about. Make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. I think a lot of people have been enjoying my rants of late because the subscribers has absolutely just gone through the roof of late. So thank you so much for your support. I don't know if my heart, my mentality, my head can take it, all these rants, but I love the support. So thank you very much. And some of the comments have been fantastic. So please do continue to support the channel. We want it on the road to 10K. Like, subscribe, and as I say, get your comments and questions in. Let's bring Rick in. How you doing, mate? Great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And as we said, we've got a lot to cover, a lot to talk about. So I think before we get into the topics, you got in touch with me saying you wanted to had a few things to discuss, a few things to talk about the Villa. So how are you feeling about things at the minute?
At the moment, it's obviously not the best time. It's rocky. There's a lot of uncertainties at the moment, especially the start of the season, the performances, the results. Nothing's come together. Nothing's really. And obviously, you got today's news. It obviously doesn't look like things are going great behind the scenes, but they're good. I'd like to think so, and it's not for the worst. So, yeah. Obviously, we'll just have.
Exactly. We're going to have to wait and see. Let's get into the Monchi decision. Obviously, it was late at night. Sort of, what was it, 10:30 last night that the news came through that Monchi was leaving. Before you kind of knew what was happening with regards to potential new people coming in, I guess the context around Unai Emery. And this new person coming in. What were you thinking last night when you maybe heard that news about Monchi leaving?
When I seen the news, it was almost like, wow, okay, something's happened. You could sort of feel something was brewing behind the scenes, but didn't know exactly what it was, what was going to happen. Obviously, everyone has different feelings, different thoughts towards Monchi. There's like a split in the fan base. If you want my opinion, I don't want to call for anyone to let's say necessarily leave the club or get removed from their position or anything like that. But I've seen over the last 18 months or so some of the transfer business and so forth. And personally, I wasn't happy with what I was seeing. I wasn't happy with the recruitment and so forth. And again, we have to be careful because maybe look at Monchi being the fall guy and making all the decisions. So the final decisions could be like Emery, let's say. But when things are going great, we all say Emery thumbs up. When things are going bad, we sort of look for Monchi and the rest of them. But
yeah,
it's only right and it's only fair that we look at it in a balanced view. So we don't know necessarily if it's Emery making the final say on some of the transfers that we've brought in. Um, as well as bringing in players as well, the outgoings as well. There's certain players who, I mean, let's face it, like Duran, he left, but at the same time, he may have caused a lot of unrest behind the scenes as well about. So, for example, I can't look at necessarily certain players like that and think, okay, we shouldn't have sold them, because at the same time, he could have been causing a lot of problems, and we had to just get rid. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with anything that you've said there. It's an interesting comment where you say, when things are going well, it's all Unai Emery signings, and then things are going bad, it's all Monchi signings. It did feel a little bit like that. I was on a podcast with the Newcastle fans, the Loaded Mag. Really good lads on there, and we do like a Premier League show. And they were asking me about Monchi, and I was saying, when he first came in, it seemed like he had a real set strategy. It kind of was in like three different phases. I would, in my opinion, it was like you sign in the young players who are 16 to sort of 20-year-old, who are meant to be the top players across Europe. The likes of Ozcan, Nedeljkovic, one or two others, particularly ones from Scotland that we'd maybe sort of prize away from their clubs. And then we'd sign like maybe rough diamonds. You're looking at Morgan Rogers, one or two other players who maybe hadn't quite hit it off at that particular club they're at, who Unai Emery thought they might have something, and then he'd try and get it out of them. And then he'd maybe sign the odd big name player. We'd break the bank for a Moussa Diaby, a Pau Torres, Amadou Onana, who would come in to the first team. And that looked like a good strategy. The young players we could loan out, or maybe they'd get some first team experience, and then we might be able to sell them on for more money. But then it kind of started to unravel, in my opinion. And I don't know whether it was because we got a bit more desperate for Champions League or desperate for higher positions in the league. But we saw the loan signings being used a little bit more. We then obviously had to break the bank in terms of loan to get Rashford and Asensio, who obviously did have an impact. But that kind of went against, I guess, the strategy that Monchi was looking for. And then you go forward to this summer and you see some of the chaos that we didn't know who was coming or going. We then had to wait right to the last minute to make any signings.
Yeah.
It just seemed like the initial strategy was kind of turned into a bit of a mess. I don't know if you kind of see it that way as well. And I guess, as you said, Monchi became kind of the fall guy to that situation.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Rich. I'm looking at the transfer policy, the model, and how we're operating. It doesn't seem straightforward. It doesn't seem like there's a proper, real strategy where we're following that and following it through, and everything seems like a mess. Like we're getting all these younger players in, and they're looking all right, they're looking good, and then we don't see them again, and they disappear into Europe to a club, and then it's like obligation to buy. We don't see them. See you later, and it's like rinse, repeat.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm thinking that we're wasting a lot of our resources into that same model, but I just don't understand why we're buying so many young players, not playing them. Okay, I can understand if one and two are not good enough, but not every one of them should not be good enough. Like, what's the recruitment? What's the recruitment doing? What are they looking for? That player's not fitting Emery's system. Why have you brought him in the first place? Why is Emery coming out later and saying that certain players are not, are not fitting his system? These are players that should have been studied. Everything should have been taken into consideration a lot more carefully before they arrived at the club. And like I said, we're not in a position really where we can be dicing around, especially with PSR and SCR and everything else, around it. We need to be very, very careful and very calculated in the decisions that we're making. Like I said, I don't want to put the blame on anyone in particular because I don't know exactly who it is, who it's falling on, and so forth. So can't say Monchi, can't say Emery. but at the same time, someone's overseeing the transfer operations, which looks like it's probably Monchi. That is, it's fair to say. And then obviously, maybe Emery's ticking that off, signing it off, and whatnot. But there needs to be a change in the policy and the strategy and the way that we are operating, because we can't keep doing what we're doing at the moment, because it's not working. And then we haven't got a squad now where we're looking at the squad and thinking, well, this squad can take us to that next level. The squad is just barely existing at the moment with what we've got and so forth. So we've got to look at it a lot different going forward, especially the next couple of windows. Very important, and our hands are tied as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get onto that in a minute with regards to talking about the new guy coming in. But I agree, and I'll get to some comments in a minute because there's so many comments coming in about this. You mentioned about the kind of the loan signing situation, and that was the puzzling thing. Like in the end, it became not the loan signing, sorry, the signing of the younger players and then loaning them out, where it was like they'd be sent on these obligation to buy loans, but the deal that was being done was the same value that we brought them in for, and again that just seemed really strange. I don't know whether that was some sort of cash flow situation or whether it was to kind of you might be able to write more off on the books with FFP. It just didn't seem to make sense. And also with them not playing any type of first team football, you think about when he first came in that kind of transition period when we were playing the likes of Kellyman and Irigbonham and one or two other players, where because they'd have made 4 or 5, 6 Premier League appearances, automatically that would bump their price up by about £5 to £10 million. You look at Cameron Archer and people like that. But we were just bringing them in. They had a pre-season game, and then they'd just go on loan, and then they would just be sold for the same price. You had players like Barrenechea, who's scoring in the Champions League for Benfica, or scoring in Europe for Benfica, and he played a pre-season game for us. All of this just didn't make sense in the end.
Yeah, that's the frightening part. Like there's players coming in, and there's players just straight away getting sent out on loan, and then permanent transfers. We're not seeing them again, and then they're ending up playing in Champions League, like you said. Barrenechea scored the other day. He could have probably been useful at the moment, especially with certain injuries, certain players coming in. I'm not saying certain players haven't come in and did a decent job, but there's players like that who could have really came in, stepped to the plate, and really progressed and kicked on, who we would never, have not. We won't get to see those players now. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
We won't get now because they've gone on new pastures. So yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating.
Absolutely. Let me just get in some comments because Michael has also just put that the club have put a statement out. So I'll try and put that up in a second. But let me just go through some of the comments just with regards to Monchi, because again, I think a lot of people are kind of agreeing with us. Kevin said it's obvious we've been looking to replace Monchi, have got Olabe so quick. Yeah, we'll come on to him in a second. Gary said it's a warning to Emery that no one is safe, hopefully. He's been relieved of his duties, shall we say. The owners are ruthless. Michael said maybe it was Monchi who told players they were on the market and rubbed them up the wrong way. Just a theory. Well, I think that's quite a useful theory. I think every player was kind of up for sale, and that could have been, a potential issue going into this season. The Villa fan said, I think a fallout occurred when Monchi sold Ramsey. It's a weird one because we sold him, which changed nothing financially. James said he's still on the payroll with input. Yeah, I think that's more of like an easing out, to be honest. I don't see him having much say, but we'll see. We'll see. He's got a history of upsetting players, has Monchi, and people saying he didn't do well at Roma, which was something that was said when he first came in. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I've seen that more recently, especially as things haven't been so good. I've seen the Roma section and so forth, and yeah, I guess over there you're going to get a divided fan base where they're probably going to say, look, he's brought in this player such and such, he did well for us, and then you're going to have some which didn't like what he's done.
Yeah.
So when things are not going well, you're going to see all the stuff, that the ugly side. so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone will be like, "Oh, well, he wasn't." Yeah, they come out. He wasn't the first choice anyway. We didn't like him anyway, but yeah. Remember, he wasn't the first choice. Curry didn't like his whiny voice, which didn't suit him. Ty says all of this could have been decided months ago and has now just come to pass. Now the transfer window is closed. Obviously, time to tie up loose ends and sign off and get the new guy into place. Yet again, I want to get into that in a second. Because it's going to be interesting with what he does or what this new guy who's apparently coming in does. But let me just share my screen and bring up the club statement for everyone to have a look at, and we'll react to it as we go. So changes to Aston Villa's sport. Aston Villa today announces changes to its sporting organisational structure. So we'd like to confirm Monchi stepping down as president of football operations and will continue in an advisory role at V Sports. So Roberto Olabe will take over. So it's already been confirmed as the club's new president of football operations with immediate effect. Roberto and Unai linking up for the second time, having previously worked together at Almeria, with Damien Vidigani continuing in the role of Director of Football Operations. We're delighted that Roberto is joining Aston Villa, who's built a reputation as someone who can spot talent that can be developed, and we look forward to supporting him to achieve the ambitions we have for V Sports and Aston Villa. Monchi said, I would like to thank everyone connected with Aston Villa for the support and warmth they've shown me since I joined the club, especially Unai and Damien, who I've worked especially closely with over the last 2 years. I must also thank the owners. I would also like to say a special thank you to all the staff at Aston Villa as well as the players. Lastly, a big thank you to the supporters. I look forward to continuing to support V Sports in an advisory role. So, both announcements there. So what do you make of the announcement first, and then what do you make of the swift appointment of Roberto Olabe?
Well, I see people on Twitter and everywhere else saying, this would have been decided months ago and etc. I personally feel that the club probably gave Monchi this window to see what he could do, and obviously, as we know, the last few weeks, or shall I say, the last month or so, the results have not been good enough, and what they're seeing on the pitch, it simply tells the story itself. And I think they've looked at that and thought, you know what, we're not going to stick around and wait for the next window and for you to carry on and put us in the same cycle again. We're going to relieve you of your duties, and I think that's what they've done. I think they've just basically given that summer. Results so far haven't been great. And then again, Monchi's behind the scenes doing all the transfers. He's doing all the the operating side of the business. Someone had to be the scapegoat. I believe that the club are looking at Emery as the long term, the long term person in charge at Villa. He holds day and he has all this power. But I don't feel like him and Monchi were on the same page. I never felt that him and Monchi was on the same page, even though everyone looked at them as, a pair, or should I say him and Damien and Unai were, all together as a unit and they're all in sync and so forth. I never felt that there was in sync. I always felt that there was some sort of disconnect. And I think this is now giving that story, the disconnect there, and Emery's choosing Roberto Olabe, someone he worked with before as well. So yeah,
It's I agree. I think there has been sort of signs of maybe not an alignment on players, and I've said before I can't see. I know it was done at the last minute, but I can't see someone like Victor Lindelof being at the top of Unai Emery's list when it came to centre backs. It was literally just a signing that they had to make, and now it's coming to light that Harvey Elliott maybe wasn't the first choice, albeit I'm sure he believes he's a really good player. He wanted Lucas Paqueta, and there was other players as well that he obviously had on his list. I guess my point with regards to Olabe coming in, and I think he's done very well at Sociedad. I think he's got a blend of bringing youth players through into the first team. But again, that's up to Unai Emery to look to do that, I think, as well, because he seems reluctant at times to do that. And then also bringing players through that, again, maybe haven't had the best of times at one club and bringing them into another club to turn themselves around, like Zubamendi and Odegaard and players like that. So he's got a bit of a pedigree there. But I just wonder what our financial constraints are like, because again, I know someone said it maybe should have been done months ago, because you kind of think if it wasn't aligned, and you said they'd maybe thought, well, give him this window and to prove himself.
Yeah.
But it just seems a bit strange to me, because I don't know what we're going to be like in January. Are we going to have the funds to spend any money? Is he going to have to do all this kind of wheeler dealing? Have we maybe done a couple of agreements with players that are currently at the club that they can move on in January to create some money? I'm still a little bit uncertain. I'm glad that the decision's being made quickly and it settles everything down. But I'm also a little bit concerned as to what's going to happen in the January window if we haven't got any money to spend. What's this guy going to actually be doing?
Well, this is the interesting part, which we probably don't have that information to hand. We don't know what we have in regards to spending powers in January. I don't think that the board fully trusted Monchi in this window, but with the power that he did have, I just feel like they weren't impressed. And obviously, as you said, with the Lindelof last second and Elliot, albeit I think Elliot's a good player, Sancho as well. I don't think they were first picks. I wouldn't think they were. And I just think it was just sloppy. I just think it was very, very sloppy. Lindelof as well. Like I said, the whole of Villa went into meltdown when like Lindelof, and like he hasn't played yet properly and anything like that, but he's not really at the top of the list.
Yeah, exactly. And do you think? I mean, you're probably right in some ways. There may be something that they kept in reserve, and if they did have this kind of situation planned, then this guy coming in, he must know the situation he's walking into. So you would assume that there'll be some sort of wriggle room or something to maybe be done in January. And I think a couple of people are mentioning, Onana maybe being sold to Saudi. Matt said that. I mean, could you see a big move in January going away from the club?
Sorry, my everything cut out for a second.
Yeah.
Your last part was Onana, big move, January, or anyone else in particular?
Yeah. Could you see that?
I wouldn't rule it out. Onana, would Saudi really come in and want to spend money on someone that hasn't really been available for selection every week or every other week? I'm not too sure. Would anyone else be available? Let's say Watkins, dare I say? Potentially, yes. I definitely wouldn't rule that out, especially the way he's looking to me. He doesn't look necessarily settled. Body language and so forth. It's not because he's not necessarily scoring any goals. I just feel like Watkins' body language normally tells me something different. What I've been seeing lately doesn't give me the Watkins vibes which I normally get. Rodgers, pretty similar. Yeah, I think Rodgers is pretty similar. Again, he's another player who could be in that same conversation. Who knows? Would it be a good idea for us to cash in on him? I wouldn't necessarily cash in on him. No, he's having a bad run, yes, but we know what type of player he can be, what he's brought to the team, and so forth. And we've seen his development, over the last year and so forth. And I think obviously patience is required. However, he's not performing at all the levels that we require at the club. So he really needs to take a look at himself and step up. So he's another player who a lot of clubs would circle and look at him and think, well, he's someone that doesn't necessarily look that interested in the football at Aston Villa at the moment. Could be swooping, could be look, could be get him out the club. So there'll be a lot of clubs trying to test the waters come January for players like that. Obviously, there's a long time between now and January for the players to change in their performances and etc. So yeah, hopefully some of these guys do buckle. Obviously, I want them to buckle up and perform on the pitch for us and do what they got to do for us. End of the day, there are players, and we want them to do
Exactly.
do
Yeah.
that. We don't want to think of them going to any other clubs. There are certain players who I feel over the last couple of years that we should have considered bids for and probably moved on because they've been here, quite a long time. They're not necessarily getting any better. They probably reached their ceiling, and yeah, they probably should have moved on.
Yeah, we've lost your video, Ricky. But and it does. People are saying it sounds like sounds like you got flushed down the toilet or something. So I don't know if the camera's gone off your phone or on your computer. But we can hear you fine. We can hear you fine. But I don't know if there's something wrong with your camera. George has joined us. As always, the voice of reason. Let me just get to some of the comments first. And David said he would sell Onana, McGinn, Mings, Martinez, and Pau Torres, Matty Cash, Watkins, and Rogers. So there you go. I don't think we'd have much of a team left after that. And Gene said Emery really wanted Asensio and Monchi, failed to get it over the line. People talking about Emery walking off. We'll maybe come back to that in a second. And Rogers going would make the team refit possible. I actually said that in pre-season with regard to the value that we'd get from him. Alistair, we need to get Jemba off the books. And what else have we got? Stephen said, I'm going to be honest, come January, get rid of Watkins, Rogers, Buendia, Mings, all letting the manager down. Interesting stuff. So, George, we were just talking about kind of Monchi leaving and then the swift announcement of Roberto Olabe coming in. And we kind of got to the point of, well, it'd be good to get your thoughts on that first. But then we got to the point of what Olabe might be able to do in January with regards to transfers and, maneuvering the squad and improving the squad if need be. So, first of all, what are your thoughts on the kind of the last 24 hours with regards to the director of football situation? And then how do you see Olabe maybe making an impact in the January window?
Well, it's been absolute drama all day, hasn't it? With the news of Monchi going. At the end of the day, we've spoke about this quite regularly. The recruitment over the last couple of years simply really hasn't been enough hits. There's been 2-3 misses for every hit, hasn't there? And and when the owners are putting the money in that they are and committing to like the wages that they are and stuff like that, you can't afford that. You've got to be getting more of those players. Like I just caught the back end of what your man was saying there about the old guard and replacing them. But the truth of the matter is, no one that's come in has been good enough to replace them lads, and that's why they're still playing. So at the end of the day, whether it's Monchi, whether it's Emery, whoever's the head of the committee there that's buying the players, someone's head has had to roll, and it looks like it's Monchi. I mean, I don't know whether it's the club that have got rid of Monchi or Monchi has decided it's time. But regardless of that, I think it's. I think I can't really argue with the decision, mate. Someone had to go for this. You can't keep blowing millions on players and then having them sitting on the bench. Not when you're in Villa's position, anyway. So it is what it is.
Exactly.
Sorry, Rich, and the new guy. Yeah, I've just been reading up a little bit about his history and that. Like the Athletic just did a piece. Looks like he's had an interesting career. Very lots of jobs and stuff. They sound like he's good at getting younger players. That's more of his thing. But they're saying he's a bit of a hothead. So I don't know whether like hothead against hothead, what that could mean in the next couple of years or whatever.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Emery and this guy going head to head.
Yeah, but at the same time, if this appointment has got kind of Emery's hallmark written all over it again, I mean, I don't want to judge a situation before it's happened, but if it hasn't worked with one of his boys just now, then do we really want to be bringing another one straight in? But that's just me saying that. I don't know the ins and outs really, but time will tell. But at least it means that it looks like Emery's staying, and hopefully we can get a bit of stability back, because I don't like all this short-termist drama that we seem to be going through at the moment.
Yeah, it's what me and Ricky were talking about there before. The kind of the strategy of Monchi seemed to unravel as the years went on, and it got a little bit more desperate. Now, I'm not saying that was all Monchi's fault. I don't think we were saying that, but it did seem to go that way, with the kind of desperation of loan signings and trying to sort of chase the position, as opposed to what we first had when he first come in, about bringing in rough diamonds, bringing in the top young players across Europe, and then the odd player that should be trouble in the first team. It just seemed to go a little bit awry. But yeah, fingers crossed. This appointment works. It's like you said, it's backing Unai Emery now. I think that's a given. I think that might hopefully maybe put some word out to the players, if they've had any sort of misgivings about Unai, that the club are backing him now, and that's it. His decision is a new director of football. That's on a sort of trinity with Vidigani. Now it's Olabe, and Emery is strong. So there can't be any sort of whinges from players now about this and that. The manager looks like he everything is behind him. So maybe that'll just settle things down, George.
That's what we need, mate. It's just been. Let's just call it what it is. It's been a shit start to the season. It was a shit summer. Everyone's down in the dumps, feeling sorry for themselves. We've just got to knuckle down, get that first win. Hopefully, who are we playing, Rich? Thursday. Bologna Thursday. Let's just get a good win and a bit of feel good back inside the club, and let's get Villa up and running again, because at the moment it's been an absolute farce.
It has. I don't think I could put it better myself. Make sure, guys, you hit that like button. Over 200 of you in the chat. We're live on X and on YouTube. Please get your comments in. I will put the link in again if anyone wants to jump on and have a chat about their thoughts. We're going to move on to the next 4 games before the next international break, which I think is crunch time. Ricky, we have Bologna, as George mentioned there, in the Europa League, kicking off the Europa League. We then have Fulham at home in the Premier League, Feyenoord away in the Europa League, and then Burnley at home in the Premier League. We're looking at the Europa League, I think, to kind of kickstart our season. And then the Premier League, these next 2 games, in my opinion, are absolutely crucial, because we would have looked at these first 7 games in the Premier League, and I defy any Villa fan at the start of the season to look at these 7 Premier League games and not think, "Oh, this is a great start for us. We'll be challenging. We'll be up there," because look at the teams that we're playing. I'm talking about on paper here. And to be sitting on 3 points after 5 games, and the maximum we can get is 9 points from 7 games. It is absolutely crucial that we win these next 2, isn't it, Ricky?
Yeah, we need to get going and quick. We know football is a thin line in football. We just need to try and get that first win, get a confidence boost, even if, of course, it's Thursday, and hopefully that can translate into the league. I think we got to change up the squad in terms of giving Elliot a start. Sancho, even giving him a start as well. And the issue is, I want to say, get Watkins sitting on the bench, but we haven't even got anyone to really necessarily replace Watkins. Can you trust Marlon? Can you trust Gesson? Not really. That's the problem. We haven't got enough firepower up front to make that change, make that happen. He's got to try something new. We can't go into this fixture and start playing that slow football, lethargic football. We got to quicken up the pace. We got to get things moving. We got to have more ideas. We got to be more fresher going forward. Got to be more creative. He's got to switch you up. I know Emery likes to stick with his plans and stick with his ways. And look, every manager's got their own ways, philosophies, and so forth. But when things are not working, teams have finding you out. You've got to change it up. You've got to try and make a way. You've got to evolve and so forth. And, I love Emery, and he's come in and done wonders for the club. Absolutely love the guy. But, we can't sit here and not be critical of him. He's a manager. He's human. We're going to see things that he might not see. And hopefully he can make those changes, and we can, start to progress, and we can change up the football and try and be more attacking, have more ideas and so forth. But yeah, he's got to use the players at his disposal and try and do it to the best of his ability.
Yeah, well put. I'll come to you in a sec, George. Let me just get the comments through. Stephen said, can you really see us winning the next 4? He's not that confident. James said it might have been a cloud over the club, Stephen, and this is the light at the end of the tunnel. Kevin said, Monchi leaving won't affect the results, but maybe a cloud has lifted. They won't be thinking, are we next to go in January? And Michael said, I'll always cling on to any hope I can. Yeah, I think that's what we've got at the moment. I think that's what we're just clinging on with hope. John said, win the Europa League and all will be good. Yeah, it's a long way to go yet on that. Stephen said, Bologna are a better team than last year. Italian Cup winners. 4 wins from 4, says Ty. Come on, up the Villa. Stephen says, Fulham are a tough team to break down. John said he can sense wins and Villa are on the verge of something big. Andy, good evening to you. Michael says 4 out of 4 and everything changes. Football changes all the time and can happen in a moment. Not Stevie G magic moments though. Ange says need to go on a run now, and with the praying emojis. Absolutely. So, yeah, George, what do you feel about the next 4 games and how crucial do you think they are? You mentioned about sort of, getting the win against Bologna, getting a bit of feel good back into the club. Do you think it needs to be a fast start, get us back into it, get the crowd behind us? And what are we clinging to with regards to believing that we're going to win? Is it kind of straw clutching? Is it pure hope? Is it faith? Is it the fact that you have to win a game at some point? What is it that we're clinging to right now?
Yeah, mate, that last part is probably a big part of it. A team with the players the level that we've got, they can't just carry. I mean, it sounds a bit silly. I mean, we've drawn 3 out of 5, haven't we? But then when you haven't got a win there, it shows it up for what it is. But yeah, it can't go on forever, can it? There's only so long you can sulk for. I mean, nothing can be done till January now. The team's the team, the manager's the manager. Well, I hope the manager's the manager. We know what the structure is now. It's the World Cup year. Players need to be playing in that shirt now and getting on with it. Forget who's earning this and earning that. Just get on with it. We've had winnable games and we've not won them so far. The Europa League, we've just seen it last year. Tottenham had like the worst season imaginable, and look at them now. They win the Europa League. They're now in the Champions League. They've got a new manager. They're looking good again. Like Tottenham, they've gone from a laughing stock to like bloody hell, they're better than us again. I remember saying to you this time last year, Rich, don't write teams like them off, because them big six can just bounce back at the click of a finger, and Tottenham are back now. But this is what it can do for a club. If we were to have I don't want this season to carry on like it is, but if we were to get the win in the Europa League and start getting a run in that competition, you would, if you do manage to win it, happy days. Everything's rosy in the garden again. This is like a bit of a golden goose for us, and it ain't. We're favourites to win the competition with the bookies, but you've got to earn your right to win it. There's other good teams in there. If we get our shit together and start performing like a team, we could do it, I reckon. But at the moment, just one step at a time. Get that first win. You've got a couple of home games coming up next. Fulham and Burnley, both tough games. Burnley are not the same soft touch they were that went down. They've got their stuff together. Very, very strong defensively. Fulham are always a good side as well. We seem to have a good record against them at home, but it's never an easy game for us. So this ain't going to be easy. But we lost one game at Villa Park. In over a year now. So just get the crowd need to get up and do their bit again, and get that fortress going at home again. I don't think all is lost yet, mate. All is not lost yet.
I agree. And like you say, football can turn around very quickly. I just hope we don't play that slow, ponderous football, and that's what's been That's what's been really concerning me, and it feels like it's easy to play against, and I want us to get that sort of joy back in, get that confidence back in. Even I know that Harvey Elliott and Jadon Sancho tried to do something when they came on, but I still felt like it was still a little bit safe. I wanted to see Sancho, once he got up to full speed, like go past his man instead of just going up, running up to him and then facing him up and then trying to give the ball to someone else. I still want to see someone really take that responsibility and really do something. And that's what I'm looking for in these next 4 games, because I think we need results. Obviously, we need results, but I think we need performances. If I could have hung my hat on something in the last 4 or 5 games to say, do you know what? Right, we're creating lots of chances. We just need something to fall for Watkins. We just need something to fall for Rodgers. We're having 10, 15 shots a game. Someone's going to be on the end of a beating right now if we just put our chances away. But unfortunately, that's not what I'm seeing right now. And I'm hoping at the moment we've got a situation where we have a manager who has a track record of doing really well at Aston Villa, obviously, and doing really well before that as well, who we have full confidence in, who can turn it around and can put his methods into the players. But at the same point, the performances on the pitch aren't giving really any indication, in my opinion, that it will turn around, and that's where the rubber hits the road.
Yeah, no, I hear that, mate. I mean, I keep thinking about this sort of slow style that has crept into our game like a bit of a. It's crept in like a bit of a cancer, to be honest with you. I mean, we used to do this when we were trying to qualify for the Champions League, or the year we did qualify for the Champions League. We used to have one of these games about any time we'd had a bit of a fixture congestion, and it was like Sunday, big Champions League game, then Sunday again. I'll tell you a game that comes to my mind is the Man United home game last year. I used to call them like energy conserving games, where you knew you had to, like, maybe they were all in the red zone and all that sort of thing. And we used to put these in tactically, these games. Sometimes we'd win them, but you just see a slower approach. But slowly but surely over the last year or two, it's becoming more often and more often and more often. And now all of a sudden, this is how we play every week. And like you say, far too easy to defend against. There's no threat. Every time we go forward, we end up stopping. The defence then just reset. And it's a happy day for them. I mean, I heard your pod the other day with Sam. And like Sam says, all the team has to do is sit back deep, commit about 3 or 4. And then as soon as we can't get through the defence, one ball away and they're away, aren't they? And we're, excuse me, and we're continually putting ourselves under pressure. So yeah, we just need to get our own tempo up. This wasn't always how we know Emery played, was it? We've had tempo, especially at home. We've been quite an exciting team. Played some great football, but I don't know whether it is. I don't know whether it's a fear of getting the pass wrong, or getting the groans from the fans, or just a general lack of confidence and belief. But we can move that ball quicker than we are now, and I'm damn sure Emery can't be telling them to be playing like this, because he said it himself. It was a lazy performance Sunday, which is exactly what it was, which tells you we're not doing what he's asking.
Yeah. Well, the benefit of being in Europe means that you have these games coming thick and fast, and it gives us an opportunity to really, turn it around and maybe playing in a different competition, maybe sort of kicking off in Europe. I don't think it's going to be a full house by any means, but I think there'll be a good crowd there. I think they need to maybe put the bums on seats again with the Villa fans and give them something to go to the game for, give them something to shout about, because it gives them a massive opportunity now with 3 home games out of the next 4 to get some real feel-good factor into the club. If we can beat Bologna, that gives you a springboard into Fulham on Sunday. If you can beat Fulham, that then takes you into Feyenoord, and it means that takes the pressure off. You might be able to rest a couple of players going into that Burnley game, and then again, the crowd are buzzing to go back to a home game because you've just won back-to-back at home. So it is a sense that it can really turn around. It's up to the players and it's up to the manager to get that back into the club, and that's the key part of it. It's up to the players and it's up to the manager to get that feel good factor back into the club.
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, the fans can only do so much. Excuse me, you can tell I've got a bit of a cough tonight. The fans can only do so much. We can support the team, you know, all online. We're all going to lose our heads every time we lose a game. This is kind of what we do in it. This is our lives. But the players are the ones that are earning a living, mate. This is their jobs, their livelihoods, and they've got to be performing to the best of their abilities. And the manager's got to be doing his bit as well. I'm sure Emery's not happy looking at Villa back in the bottom
No.
three. Where we were pretty much when he came in. It's like all of a sudden we've gone full circle. We've had the good times and now it's all dropped off again. But nah, mate, this ain't going to last forever. As you say, there's nothing really there for us to see so far that makes you think, oh, we're just going to click into gear. But I'm just hanging on to the fact that we've got a good squad of players there. All right, it might not be quite the quality of last year, but you've got a Wally Watkins there that can score you 15 goals a season. You've got the world's number one, as they keep saying, in goal. Do you know what I mean? We've got Kamara back now, who's always a safe bet in the midfield. I just can't see it going on all season. And I think just get that first win and start getting back in the groove.
Yeah. Make sure you hit that like button, people. Hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Like I said before at the start of the show, I think a few people like my rants at the minute, and the subscriber numbers have been boosted considerably in the last few days. So thank you so much for your support. I want to do some happy rants. I don't want to do any more angry ones for the time being. So please, Villa, please get some wins on the board so I can do some happy match reactions. Guys, get your questions in as well. Any questions for the lads towards the end of the show? I do want to cover a little bit on Bologna. I'm going to do a match preview tomorrow on that game, but I do want to just cover it because it's only a couple of days away. Ricky's back. You teased a few people saying they love a rich rant. Yeah, man, it's just difficult for me. It's just difficult. You mentioned the idea of maybe a couple of players coming into the side for Thursday night, Ricky.
Yeah.
Harvey Elliott, Jadon Sancho, few people in the chat saying Pau Torres, Ian Matson maybe.
Yeah.
Gimo Olabe, even someone like that. But what do you see? Do you think Unai will make changes, or do you think he will keep with the side that he wants to play into form?
I think that Emery should be making the changes. Do I feel that he will? He should. Yeah, in this sort of fixture, I feel like he'll go for it. I just feel like he'll play Matson. Do I feel like he'll play Torres? I'm not too sure. I'm not so sure. Does he start Elliott? He should. Sancho, I'm not sure if he will. For some reason, I don't think he trusts Sancho to start games. I feel like he just probably wants to bring him on. But yeah, I think he'll make a few changes, but hopefully he makes the right ones.
Yeah. George, what about you? Do you think there'll be some changes made ahead of the game against Fulham? Or I don't know if it was you or if might have been you when we were doing the match preview last week. It's still early in the season, and the fact that they've played Sunday and then they're playing Thursday and then they're playing Sunday again, albeit early in the season, it's not as sort of important to maybe rotate the team as much. That being said, when he played Buendia, Gesson and Rodgers in that three behind Ollie Watkins, they just didn't click at all, did they?
No, not really. I mean, I don't think anyone particularly needs a rest. But at the same time, he keeps rolling out the same sort of starting lineup, and it's not really performing at the moment. So I think you're making the changes because the lads ain't performing. Like you say, you've got Sancho there. He looked quite encouraging, I thought, actually. God, memory's going. Who did we just play? Sunderland. Sorry, yeah, I thought he was quite encouraging when he come on second half.
Yeah.
Harvey Elliott, has been they're a nice relationship there, weren't there, brewing? You could see that, and we're clicking on to any sort of encouragement there. I thought he actually had a bit of the Grealishes about him, actually, the way Sancho played, the way he sort of teases down that left-hand side, speeds it up, slows it down, dangles a leg. He's waiting to. So I think there could be a few penalties, a few set pieces there for us. But yeah, Harvey Elliott's obviously he's not come to Villa to be sitting on that bench for too long, has he? You know,
No,
No.
he's just left the Champions, and he was all right. He wasn't starting games there, but he's played a fair few games, and he's had a big impact there. So he's coming in to be
Yeah.
one of our main players. So I'd say it's only a matter of time before he nails down a regular spot. Um, but yeah, Liam Matson, if you want to get the crowd up, he's the one to play in the home games, isn't he? You know,
Of course.
again, we need to get off to a good start in, and you know, try and get a win in the Europa League. So yeah, I think there are a few changes there. But every time I've looked at our bench this season, it almost looks on paper as good, if not better than the starters there anyway. So people say we haven't got depth. I think we've still got quite a good squad.
we have. We just need to get the shackles off a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
A few comments coming in. Ange says drop Rodgers 100%. Steven says play Guessand up front. He's played there before. What are your thoughts on? And Gary said drop Watkins and Rodgers just for a laugh. What are your thoughts, Ricky, on Guessand and Daniel Marlon at the moment?
Well, at the moment, I don't want to be harsh on them, to be honest with you. But Marlon, obviously, we know that he didn't get the regular football that he wanted towards the back end of last season, and then obviously you've started this season, and we've seen glimpses of him, but he just doesn't look like he's made for the Premier League, in my opinion. And I don't want to obviously be too harsh on him, but I just don't feel like he's got those attributes that would make him shine in the Premier League. I'm not sure if Marlon will still be here next summer, if you want my honest opinion. But I want him to obviously prove me wrong, and I want him to try and, you know, pull something out the bag, try and shine over the next few games and so forth when he does get his minutes on the field. Guessand, looking at the highlights of him when he was signing for us, he looked good, and obviously it's only highlights. I've never really seen him live, and then obviously he's come to Villa, and I've seen him in the games and whatnot, and his ball control when I seen him in one or two games was good. But obviously we need a lot more than ball control. I think it's maybe too early to say because he's still adapting to the league.
Do you think he's? A lot of people are saying he's more of a forward player. Do you think he's maybe not been played in the right position? Like, I mean, against Sunderland, he seemed to do a lot more work defensively, and against Everton, a lot more work defensively than in the areas where I guess we want him to be, which is picking up the ball and bustling through, because he seems a powerful lad. He seems like he's strong. He doesn't seem like he's the most graceful, but he seemed to be, like I say, we seem to be kind of putting him into positions where he was trying to maybe play quick 1-2s or, you know, in pressure positions if he wasn't defending, where I don't know if that's his strength.
To be honest with you, Rich, I don't know what he is.
Yeah,
he's coming. He's coming the side. He's played out wide. He's played centrally. I can't really say what he is. I've looked at him in both of them positions, and I just don't know where his strongest ability is or anything like that. So it's hard to tell. I think he's probably better playing centrally if I had to pick one.
Yeah.
Does he take Rodgers' position at the moment? I don't think both of them at the moment are not playing well. If you want my opinion, so it's one of those. Where do you play him? I don't know where you play him. I'm not sure. Maybe he could play up top where Watkins plays, but would I trust him in big games? Maybe not. Like I said, it might be too early as well to cast any judgment on him. But yeah, again, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. No.
Yeah, no, I echo that. It's difficult. Like you say, we've got a small sample size, but it's difficult to see what at the moment he is really bringing to the table. Exactly. George, what are your thoughts on Marlon? He just hasn't really got going, has he? And you saw that chance on Sunday where he went through, and that's a player who's not really got a lot of confidence at all to try and take an extra touch and sort of bundle it past the goalkeeper. Like he got tackled when he should have really had a shot. Against Brentford in the cup, he was pretty anonymous. And as I say, Gesson, I just don't know if he's suited for that wide position, particularly with how much defending he's having to do.
No, with Marlon, I mean, I tell you, when the alarm bell started ringing was when we signed him. He wasn't playing at Dortmund anyway, so he sat on the Dortmund bench. And that's that. Right, Dortmund are a great club, but that league is quite a bit weaker than the Premier League. So if he couldn't get in Dortmund's team, the chances are he's not going to get in our team. And I love to bang on about wages, but we've put him on an absolute fortune a week there. So he ain't going to be going nowhere because no one's going to be paying him that money. So this is another 4-year contract that we're going to be. If it doesn't work out for him, which at the moment it isn't, he's going to be heading out on loan for the next 3 seasons. I'll put any money on that. He looked better, to be fair. Last year, he looked better in a confident team that was winning. He was a great impact sub, wasn't he? He was coming on, 1-0 up, 2-0 up, scored fair few goals for us, a lot of assists. He looked exciting and direct. But for me, when the chips are down, he's not the kind of player you really need. At the moment, everyone's not confident. We're in a downward trend, and he doesn't look up to it, to be fair. As for Gesson, as you said, Ricky, I'm not sure what he is. We keep signing these attacking players because they're versatile. They can play left, they can play centre, they can play right. But
they're so versatile, they can't play anywhere.
Can't play anywhere. Exactly. So I don't want to cast judgment on him too soon. I thought at Everton, he wasn't too bad. Like you say, his defensive work's not bad. But then I went to Brentford last week in the Cup, and honestly, that is one of the worst individual performances I can think of seeing in all the time I've been going, which is longer than I'd care to remember now. I just thought he looked like a duck out of water. Couldn't get near it. Same as the Palace game when he played that one. Absolutely shocking. But, you've got to give these players time. Not everyone cracks it overnione.
Yeah,
I mean, he's highly sought after, wasn't he? I mean, Palace were in for him.
Palace nearly had him, didn't they?
But then again, where we've been the last few years, do we? And I'm not trying to disrespect Palace because they put us in our place every time we play them. But are we supposed to be competing with Crystal Palace for players? I thought we'd got up a level above that, but maybe we haven't. But time will tell on him, and there's plenty of time. But we've put a decent outlay out on him as well, so you're hoping that it'll come good. Maybe you give Rodgers a rest or Watkins a rest and see what he can do in a central position. But at the moment, neither of them are looking great, are they?
No.
Yeah.
I just thought of something there before we finish up. And you made a comment, George, in our group chat today about, I think Sam had mentioned about set pieces. And I think there's been a few pods, like I think Pete on the Holy Trinity had mentioned it around set pieces. And the fact that we are looking extremely vulnerable on set pieces against, but on attacking set pieces for, we just seem like we're a bit toothless. Like we haven't really had a shot, we haven't really had a header, we haven't really made the keeper make too many saves. We don't not quite know whether we're doing short corners, we don't know whether we're putting it in the box. Last season, you put the stat out that we were one of the top teams for set piece goals this last season. What's happening at the minute? Like, is it another situation where the messaging from maybe Austin McPhee isn't really getting across? I see him out on the touchline waving his hands quite a lot, but we just seem to be all over the shop when a long throwing comes in or a set piece comes in. Like, what's the situation here? Because they're so important in games.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, like, obviously I did put that stat up, but I did say it was quite a surprising stat because it didn't feel that we were great at any time. I mean, that group chat is Caden Austin McPhee probably 3 days a week, isn't it? Every week. but the stats don't lie. We were scoring quite a few goals. But I think at the same time, the amount of set pieces we had that led to the opposition scoring a goal was really like taking the wind out of our sails on that front. How many times do we take a short corner? And before you know it, it's back in Martinez. Or it doesn't beat the first man and then they're away and they're straight. Think of the Liverpool away last year. I think they scored 2 goals, didn't they, off Villa corners. And that seemed to be a bit of a trait of last season. So we were as effective as apparently we were from our own ones scoring. We were just as vulnerable with them going the other way. So I don't know what's going wrong or going right, but at the moment, no one seems to want to take that risk, do they? Or, as I said earlier, play that killer pass or that final ball over. They would rather just play the safe option and pass, and we end up going nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephen's in the chat, only coming on quickly to say Austin needs to go. Emery's Kingdom says Nanny McPhee not doing anything. He needs to find a player that can deliver a decent ball. Why is McGinn not taking the corners on the right and Tielemans on the left, like what we did last season? And Nanny McPhee would be better. Yes, McPhee can go next, says Gary. So not particularly popular right now. One of the things that really annoys me, Ricky, is, and I saw this on Sunday, we seem to have an attacking set piece, and George touched on it there, where either we play it short and we play it back, play it across the box to the next person, and instead of them putting it in the box, they go back to the original man, and then that man passes it back to the defender, and then the defender plays it back to Emery Martinez. Or we actually put it in the box, it gets cleared, and then rather than putting it in back straight into the box to fight a second ball or to cause a bit of chaos to the defence, we go back to Emery Martinez. He stands on the ball for 10 seconds and then lets the other team get settled and then boots it long. Please, someone tell me what sense there is in that.
I don't know, but I can say we've been seeing that for how many months or years. We've been seeing that same sort of football. We knock it back. Matty Cash knocks it back to Emmy. Emmy knocks it across the Mings. It's going side to side. It's not going back in the box. But yeah, there's not that urgency, or when the players are all in the box and set pieces happen and it's come right back out and so forth. That ball's supposed to go straight back in the box.
Exactly.
Because the energy's still there. Everything's still going. We're still on full throttle. Try and make something happen. But instead, we're slowing it right back down again, and we're knocking it side to side. We're knocking it back instead of trying to anticipate. I don't understand that football.
It's like a style a style of football you should be playing when you're 2-0 up, but we play it when we're behind, when we're 0-0, and you're like, lads, get a move on. Do you know what I mean? You're wasting your own time. If you've got a lead in a game, don't get me wrong, just keep hold of the ball. That's fine. You're wasting their time, but at the moment we just waste our own.
Exactly. Yeah. I watched Brentford against Chelsea, and they were down, and the amount of times that they would get in the ball in the box, constantly getting in the box, getting it forward. I'm thinking, when I'm watching my side play, we're not exactly doing that. We're still doing side to side football and stuff, even though we a goal down or so forth, and it's the most frustrating thing to watch. Why are we not going forward? Why are we not trying to use the last few minutes to try and get something out of the game? And we're still trying to keep to a certain philosophy. And I think that's something that may have been coached. That's something that Emery needs to probably reconsider. Like, can we change it up when, in certain situations when we're down and we need to try and change up the game plan and go forward?
I had to put that up there. Adamski, we recycle the ball so much, we're going to get an award from Greenpeace. I love that. Yeah, Ricky, sorry about that. You bang on. And look, the biggest example of it was Sunderland scored a goal from a recycled ball. Basically, a ball went in the box, cleared out. Someone had a shot from the edge of the box. It heads up miles in the air. Everyone's standing watching it. Xhaka, little header over the top. Their strikers more alert than us, and he puts it in the net.
Yeah,
and that most goals are scored by a mistake made by someone not switching on, a ricochet, a bounce that someone's reacted to. That's how most goals are scored. But it seems like Villa at the moment want to score this manufactured goal. And don't get me wrong, there were so many times when it worked, George. So many times when it worked. But that was when we played quick. At the moment, we're playing so slow that everything's telegraphed. And that's the difference. And that's the difference. And I hope that on Thursday and on Sunday and then next week that's starting to turn around. I think hopefully an early goal, hopefully something that get the crowd going, even if it's a couple of big chances, get the crowd going, and that might give the players a bit of urgency to move it forward quickly and to put the other team under pressure. Just before we finish, I just want your kind of quick thoughts on the next 4 games. I'll start with you, George. what do you? Yeah, how do you see it panning out? Kind of these 4 games before the international break.
Well, I mean, they're hard to predict, really, aren't they? I mean, what do you base it on? Do you base it on what you want to happen, what you've seen previous, or what you think's going to happen? It's If I'm thinking a year ago, like last year, we played Bologna in the Champions League, and I thought that was our best performance in. Forget PSG, forget Bayern Munich. That was all right. That was an unfashionable game, but I thought that we were absolutely sensational against
Yeah, we
Bologna.
totally controlled the game, didn't we?
Yeah, played really well, and I'd rip your hand off for a repeat of that game. I saw a comment there saying that they've just won an Italian Cup or something, which I was unaware of. So maybe Bologna, no, I didn't think they were a bad side on the night. I thought we were just very good ourselves. Um, you back your team at home. Obviously, we've come out of the Champions League. Then again, so have they, haven't they? So it'll be a tough game, but yeah, I'll back Villa to win that one and get off. Get ourselves off with a victory. Then you're going into the Fulham game Sunday. Again, we're not a bad record against Fulham over the years at home. They're always a dangerous team, though. So I'm repeating myself. I know I've already said all this.
Play good football, don't they?
Yeah, they're a good side, mate. Marco Silva's done a very solid job there, and I think he was one of them ambitious young managers, wasn't he? Sort of always looking for the next opportunity. But I think he got burnt at Everton, didn't he? And now I think he's settled down and thought, you know what, I'm in a good job at Fulham. They've given me all the back end, so I'm going to give them it back. And I'm quite happy for them. They're a good club, a good team, and he's a good manager. But at the same time, again, I'm hoping if you get a feel good off the Bologna game, roll into the Fulham game, and hopefully we can win another one. And then is it burnt? Oh, then we're going to final, aren't we?
Final, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going out for that one. So that should be a bit of a decent
interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, be careful. That could be a tough one because I know that's a very daunting atmosphere out there. Going back for our Conference League, our Champions League, I don't think we dealt very well with them atmospheres and the tough games. I don't think Emery's approach away from home in the Europe has been very good. Actually, that's one thing I can knock him for. So that one, I wouldn't be surprised if we got our wings clipped in that one. But then if that is to happen, then bounce back and try and beat Burnley. But at the moment, all I'm doing is guessing, mate. If I'm going off the form we're showing, we'll probably lose all of them. But that can't go on forever, so I'm not going to think like that.
Yeah. So you think a win against? Let me just surmise. So you think a win against Bologna, win against Fulham, or draw against Fulham?
Narrow win.
Narrow win.
Call it a 95th minute winner that sets the season off.
Draw against Feyenoord, beat Burnley.
Could possibly lose the final game. I think that might be a bit too much for us. But yeah, then come back and hopefully beat Burnley. So we'll go with that.
Cool. Ricky, before we lose you, do you think George is correct there? Would you settle for that three wins and a defeat from the next 4 games?
I'll tell you what, I wish I had the optimism George has got because I haven't.
No, mate, I'm not sure I have really.
I'm always trying to be optimistic, but 3 wins, we can't even get 1, can we? It's like, yeah, we're asking for much, aren't you?
I'm just clinging on to Villa Park that we've got a few.
Yeah. Against Bologna, I don't know what to really say, to be honest. I don't feel that we're gonna lose the game, but I can't decipher whether we're gonna win or draw. My heart tells me a win. My head's telling me a draw. Fulham, I don't know how, but I just feel like we're gonna get a win. I can't see how we're gonna do it because that Fulham side that I've watched over the last few weeks look good. They look well drilled. Marco Silva, as George said, he's done a great job. They look like a team that knows what they're doing. Everyone's set up, correctly, and they can do their job. Unlike us at the moment, so it's going to be a difficult one. But hopefully at Villa Park, the lads can get behind the boys, and we can put on a better performance and try and get what I feel will be a narrow win, as George said. I think it's going to be a narrow. If we're going to get any win, it's going to be narrow. I can't see us beating anyone 3-1 at the moment or 4-1 at the moment. So yeah, I'd probably go with that. Feyenoord, which is away, right?
Yeah.
I don't even want to say it. I don't want to say that we're not going to get anything from that, to be honest, because I need to be a lot more optimistic. But I see us losing that narrowly. Yeah, maybe we improve a lot between now and then. Maybe I change my mind, but for now, I do feel like Feyenoord would probably beat us narrowly. Burnley, that's an away fixture, right?
Home.
Is it home fixture?
Yeah.
The thing is, last season we come unstuck to sides that are at the bottom of the league and couldn't beat them, even with 10 men. Who was it that we couldn't beat with 10 men? Was it Ipswich?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't remind us.
Sorry. And then there's a couple of teams we come on. So I think was it Bournemouth that scored last minute? Was it Ivan Nelson?
Yeah.
Yeah. We were much better then. We're a lot worse now. So it's not even like it's a guarantee. Oh yeah, Burnley 3 points or Fulham 3 points. A lot has changed since then, and I'm unsure at the moment what to say. If that game will be a difficult one for us. I'm probably gonna go with a Villa win, actually.
Yeah. Hey, I don't think anything's going to be easy. I don't think anything's going to be easy right now. But I think we will turn it around. I think we get a result on Thursday, and then I think things look a bit more rosy. As George and yourself have said, we've got a good record against Fulham. We can maybe draw against that to get a victory.
Yeah.
Draw on that to get a victory, and then I think, as you say, maybe that positivity goes into Feyenoord and Burnley potentially. Maybe make some changes for the final game with the view to us playing multiple games in Europa League, that you might be able to sort of, make sure you win your home game sort of thing, get a couple of results away from home, and sort of it's not as important if you get beat off Feyenoord, let's say. So. But I am confident. I am confident we can get a couple of results. I really am. Whether they're convincing wins is another matter. But I just think we just need a win by any means necessary, and hopefully the kind of feel good factor can start to turn around. Yeah. Boys, thank you so much for jumping on. Ricky, thank you very much for your for jumping on, mate, on your debut on the fans forum. How did you find it?
Yeah, great. All good.
You
Get to share my points with you lot.
Good man. You're more than welcome anytime. George, great to have you on, mate. Thank you for jumping on. Did you win your darts match? That's the most important thing.
Mate, I didn't go in the end. I don't know what happened to me tonight. I've literally got changed. I had my darts in my hand, coat on. I'm standing there at the door, and I just suddenly decided I can't be asked. And literally on a whim, I just sat back down and I didn't go. So yeah, hence why I'm on here.
Fair enough. Well, you made the better choice. Choice. That's all we got to say. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much for watching. Nearly 300 in the chat on a Tuesday night. I'm just always bowled over by the support we get on this channel. Thank you so much. Please do hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. As I say, we're on the march to 10,000 subscribers. So please do like, subscribe. We'll be back with match preview for Bologna and match reaction to Bologna. I actually might be doing a watch along. Please, in the chat, just quickly, let me know if you'd be interested in me doing a watch along for the Bologna game. I'm going to try and bring some watch alongs on the channel. So let me know your thoughts in the comments if you would like to see that. And we'll obviously have reaction. We hopefully will have Gareth back. He's not been able to do the last couple of shows with talking tactics. We've got match preview for Fulham. We've got a potential watch along for Fulham as well, if everyone is potentially interested for that. And yeah, so make sure you stay with the channel. Thank you all for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.